Welcome back to the Adam Bannon Cricket Podcast. Whether it's village cricket being played in England, international cricket in the West Indies or Sri Lanka, or even in America, one man is there covering it. It's DanJadz. How are you, mate?
Mate, I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was great. You having me on the little cameo you were doing on TikTok. That was great. Great getting to first meet you there. And yes, had to have you on the pod. You know, probably up there, one of the biggest cricket creators there is on YouTube, or you could just call it across all socials. And it was great getting to meet you. First, let the viewers know where you're from, and then we'll roll into how you got into cricket.
Yeah, of course. Where am I from? Well, I'm from the UK. The accent probably gives that bit away, doesn't it?
One of the Pommies. I've been educating them on Pommies. Because the Australians, we call you guys Poms, that whole thing. So yeah, the UK Pommies.
It's the rivalry. It's going to be a big year for the rivalry as well, isn't it?
We're going to get to it for sure.
It's going to be getting tense as the winter rolls around. But yeah, so I'm from the UK, specifically from the south of England. Nobody really kind of knows the area, but if you looked on a map and you dropped kind of a pin between Portsmouth and Brighton, I'm kind of right in the middle, right on the south coast. So most American listeners will go, "Are you from London?" And I'll go, "Well, I'm about an hour and 45 minutes away." And they go, "Oh, that's London then, isn't it?" And I go, "Yeah, it's fine. It's London."
Pretty much. I mean, it probably isn't much further than that to any of the coasts from London, right? You're going more than 2 hours before you hit a coastline.
Yeah, exactly.
Much, right? I mean, that would be as far as I am from New York in comparison. So I could call myself a New Yorker, technically.
I mean, if I went an hour and 45 south, I'd be French, but let's not kind of dwell on these things, shall we?
Oh, very good. So, Dan, how did you first get into cricket? Were you born into a cricketing family, or you picked it up a little later in life? Tell us that story, how you got into cricket.
Yeah, so I had a kind of a rough start with cricket, actually, as a player. I remember kind of playing back garden, whatever you want to call it, cricket with my dad and my brother when I was really little. Kind of got taken along to one of the local cricket club, which ironically is who I play for now, but had quite a not bad experiences in something terrible happened, but I had such a bad experience that I didn't want to go back again. So when I was growing up, swimming was my sport when I was growing up. That was what I was good at. And jump in the pool, you swim up and down, and you get out and dry yourself off and do it again. And if that sounds boring, which it probably does to a lot of people, and with the benefit of hindsight looking back to it now, I thought cricket was worse than that. So cricket for me was a bit of a non-starter when I was little. Then I'd never touched it again after that. I had such a bad experience until it got to 2005. I was meant to be revising for exams of some sort, and obviously the England-Australia, the Ashes series of 2005, which is arguably one of the most famous in the history of the game, was on free-to-air TV in the UK. Instead of reading about trigonometry and Pythagoras and all this other good stuff, I just sat there and watched the cricket. And I passed my exams, and now I'm sat here making cricket videos. So it seems to have been a win-win.
This seems to be a trend coming from the English guys that I've been talking to. I spoke with Charlie Cookie on the first show. Same thing for him. It was a 2005 Ashes that really got back into cricket. And then from that point, it appears that free-to-air cricket got taken off the market. So that was like a real time where everyone was glued in. Obviously an amazing series. Yeah, the English guys are all on that train there. That 05 really, really kicked you guys off over there. And so did that lead into you starting to create content? Did it start from there?
No, that led to me trying to play cricket again. Or to even start. So as I said, I didn't play as a youngster. So I started trying to play cricket when I was about 16, 17 years old. And obviously by which point all of you are kind of, when you're a kid, you pick things up easier, don't you? Yeah. So I had a bit of a steep kind of learning curve when I wanted to start playing this game that is kind of fairly technical and complicated at points. And just kind of said to my dad, I was like, I want to give this a go. So then, funnily enough, ended up going back to the cricket club that I had that terrible experience with when I was in primary school, and decided to go again, went to winter nets. Probably took me 3, 4, maybe 5 years, I think, to actually kind of get to being like a regular member of the club with work and other commitments and things like that. But yeah, that's what kind of got me back to playing again. That's what kind of motivated me and inspired me to go back. And I think when you look at the players and the characters in that series, it was really hard not to be inspired by them.
Absolutely. So as a cricketer, you a batter, bowler, keeper?
A wicket keeper, a keeper batter, I suppose would be the technical term. Yeah, you can't just be a wicket keeper anymore, can you?
Not in the T20 game, no.
Definitely not. And I mean, I love whacking it, so I think would fit into that mold. A very amateur version of it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're on a mission to score your first 100. That is, how is that going? I know you've spent some time with some test cricketers preparing for this, kind of training for this, getting ready for 2025. Explain the goal of the 100 and who's been helping you along the way. Drop some names.
Yeah. Well, I'm now 35. Yes, said with some confidence. And obviously, I've been playing since I was 17, playing regularly probably since I was about 22, 23, and I haven't scored 100. And I think whatever level you play, whether you're a batter, a bowler, a wicketkeeper, whatever you want to call it, that feels like the kind of the ultimate kind of holy grail when it comes to cricket and personal achievement. So, as you can imagine, I'd quite like to tick that off on my kind of imaginary CV. Yeah, up to now, it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle. It's only been the last couple of years that I've actually kind of felt confident walking out to the middle with a cricket bat in hand. So to be able to kind of pick up a few 50s up to now and a few nice not outs as well has been really helpful and just a good kind of step in the right direction, which I'm hopeful can kind of carry on for this year. And I've had great coaching sessions with Tom Scollay, who heads up cricket mentoring, with a guy called Phil Rowe that I was commentating with at Northamptonshire last season and will be again this year. He was the assistant coach at Northamptonshire County Cricket Club for a while, so I had a session with him. Then I've been to the Caribbean and I've worked with Joshua Da Silva, who's the current West Indies Test vice captain. I've been facing Jaden Seals, who has been taking the world of fast bowling by storm. It's been really good. I've had so many doors open through the world of YouTube that I never ever thought would have been opened. And I'm hopeful that all of this kind of aligned, all the stars aligned perfectly. And that 100's happening this summer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be backing you this season and watching you. Hopefully, you're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. Now, do you play 2020s or you play 40 overs, 30 overs? What's the time? How many overs you have to get this? Because 100 in 2020 is kind of difficult. So do you play 40 overs or 30 overs?
We play a bit of a mix. So we do play some 2020 cricket. We have to retire at 50, so it's a bit of a absolute non-event, if that makes sense.
That's not happening.
But the good thing is I have retired a couple of times at 50 in that format of cricket. So that to me kind of says, well, actually, I was on quite good form that day, which I'd take as a positive. And then our proper kind of league cricket where you play every Saturday is 40 overs aside, no retirement. So that would be the opportunity, depending on obviously scores being chased or number in the batting lineup or anything like that, would be the opportunity to go out there and try and achieve that. Sunday friendly cricket really varies, but depending on how long people can be bothered to play for, whether they want to play for 40 overs or 50 overs or 20 overs, it's a real mixed bag and you never really know what you're going to get until you turn up.
Yeah. Well, there you go. No, we'll be dialed in and following your journey there, getting that 100. I did, for the people that didn't see, I did a little diagnoses of your technique on TikTok.
You did?
As a former opener, I guess now I don't open no more. I took the opposite road. I was born with a bat in my hand. I came from a dad that played cricket. His dad played cricket, big cricketing family. And we got to travel around and play a lot. And I spent a lot of time on like coaching in the summers under Doug Walters from like Australian test cricketer, Dean Jones, those kind of things. So I actually gave up the bat when I gave up cricket. At the same time, you were probably picking it up when I was about 23, 24 when I moved to the States. So now when I'm getting back into cricket, I played a couple games and in 2020, it's completely different. I'm about at 4, but yeah, the waggle, it's the waggle for me. I think that was one of the big things is still the still hands. That was like one of the biggest things that I picked up is when you're versing the faster bowling as the opener, you face the heat, the not swinging around as much. You're swinging the most at that time. You play with red ball, right?
Yes.
Red ball cricket. Yeah. Over here, they only have white ball only in America. But yeah, I grew up with red ball cricket and that minimal backswing, getting that timing right. That's so, well, I'm hoping to see a little bit of that waggle go away for you.
I think so. I think the trip over to the Caribbean, I think helped. I picked up every time I speak to somebody, I just feel like a light bulb just goes off and you just go, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. And I'd never thought about it before. So I'm hopeful that the bits and pieces that I've picked up from these guys can all kind of help, which they, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to remember, but I think the waggle probably just comes from nervous energy, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah. It probably is. Yeah, actually. But, and then, you'll get used to a rhythm and kind of dial it in. I think Mike Hussey is my like go-to of like envisioning just like the purest. I think Root is also pretty good with that still hands, the bat going directly back. I do feel like it's the this upcoming generation, the younger generation. Obviously, we're the same age, but the cricketers of our era that we're watching now, most of them have this big bring their bat out to like well outside into the slip corded, and it's kind of like a common thing now to have that bat come up so wide. But yeah, I'm big on a traditionalist. I'm a traditionalist style batter.
I love it. One thing I will say, and I think it probably echoes the point, is that when I've tried to bat kind of with all of this advice on board, I've actually found T20 cricket a bit harder. So I think that's obviously where this kind of change of technique has come into it a little bit, hasn't it? In the kind
For
of the
sure.
riches of franchise cricket. Because I mean, yeah, I can quite happily kind of clear the rope down the ground, but actually, if I'm thinking about unweighting my front foot and tucking my hands in and keeping my back lift straight and stuff like that, all of a sudden I'm thinking, actually, I can't access that boundary as easy as I could. So if I go out there kind of with a bit of a baseball, open the front leg, chop some trees down and send it over the cottage.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm with you 100%. And I like talking about this. In my whole career, I've only hit 3 sixes. And that really comes from, like, we was brought up on, like, Don Bradman. Don Bradman has a famous quote. He's like, you can't get out if you don't hit the ball in the air. So, and my grandma, we played backyard cricket. We were always terrified to go over the fence for 6 and out. And, we didn't want to get out. So, like, literally, I grew up my entire career as a kid. Backyard cricket was always hitting the ball on the ground. And that transferred into playing in the real life. And I only ever played 30, 40, and 50 over cricket. So I would never, the T20 wasn't even really invented or accessible to be played when I was playing. You're right. Going into my first 2020 game, it was like this technique of like being really, traditional is like throw that out the window, because you have to score runs quickly. You have to access the gap. You have to find where the gap is. And I'm big on the ramp. I've been talking about the ramp because no one fields at fine leg. I don't know if you guys have anyone fielding at fine leg, but in 2020 cricket, I found here, no one's behind the wicket. There's no deep slip. There's like no third man. There's no fine leg. So it's the ramp for me this year. I'm going to be hitting almost exclusively because, there's no one there.
It's on the wish list. It is on the wish list. It's something that I am kind of working on a little bit because similar to you, if you can get it past kind of a guy that's at short third man or at short fine leg, you've got 4 straight away because as you say, nobody protects that boundary. And actually, if they do then start protecting that boundary, I would back myself to be able to go downtown in front of the wicket as well. So hopefully if I can add it, I might end up being a bit of a nightmare for a few people. Yeah, no, definitely go for the ramp. That last game I played of the year, we hit 3 in and over, which was very good. And then, my goal for this year is to hit a 6. That's going to be my goal because it's just not really in my wheelhouse, but I'm going to be practicing to hit those 6s. So you watch the 2005 Ashes, you get back into cricket, and then when does the content start coming into it? When do you start making the cricket content? How did that all begin? So that was about 6 years ago now, 6-7 years ago, I think. Just felt like giving it a go, to be completely honest with you. Didn't really have any expectations of it. Hadn't really thought about YouTube before. Hadn't really watched much YouTube, let alone thought about making content. I had just completed one of the ECB's coaching courses and had been volunteering at the club, which obviously I now play at. And I was kind of thinking to myself, like, what could I do something that kind of encouraged people or helped some people play cricket that I potentially felt I didn't have when I was younger. And that's how it started. There was like an iPhone like propped up on the side of a wheelie bin and stuff like that. It was really kind of Swiss Family Robinson, really basic. Then I quickly realized the fact that actually probably not the best person in the world to be listening to about how to play cricket. So swiftly kind of changed to a bit of actually, this sport can be a lot of fun. And I think that was the thing that kind of resonated with me the most in the fact that my first experience, as I've said, was so bad that I would rather go and swim up and down in a swimming pool for an hour and then get out, dry off and go home than think about playing cricket. So to try and kind of showcase it as fun was always the main aim. And I think that's kind of where that kind of niche and that wheelhouse and that kind of area developed and found kind of a home in it, which is really nice. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the swimming a lot. Do you still swim now? Because I also swam. I love swimming. Swimming's great. No, I've done my time. I've done my time. I've served my sentence. So you've traveled a lot in this cricket journey. Take us through your last couple of years. I know you've touched. I don't know what order you went through, but I know you went to the West Indies. I know you've been up to Sri Lanka, and I do believe you ended up in America. Yeah, I mean, my first cricket trip was back in 2008, and I went to New Zealand. I hadn't really played cricket, as you can obviously tell by the timeline of this, and my mate was off backpacking or holidaying or whatever you want to call it somewhere. And I was thinking, that looks like such a better idea than going off and getting a proper job or going to university. And I found this cricket thing in New Zealand that I went and paid for. Jumped on the airplane, flew 25, 28 hours, whatever it was over there, got to this academy place, and then was surrounded by people of my age that were playing county second 11 cricket and people that were playing first class cricket in New Zealand. And I'm stood there thinking, right, well, I've only been playing this sport for about 2 years. What the hell am I doing here for? And that was my first trip. And it was quite incredible, to be fair. And I enjoyed it. I didn't probably learn much because not a lot of it made much sense to me. But then more recently, which is probably the more interesting bits, I've had trips to Barbados to watch England play cricket out there, which is a bucket list experience. The ground in Barbados is amazing. It's the stands are covered in names that you only read about in textbooks and you watch on documentaries and stuff. And that was really cool. There was a couple of trips to Sri Lanka, one where I got to play at the Gould Fort ground where Australia are playing today, where Steve Smith's just gone and scored his 10,000th Test run. I couldn't get off the mark. So I left one out there for Smudger, which he's obviously gone and got, which is nice.
He got it for you.
But that is an incredible place to play cricket. That's got to be bucket list top 5 grounds in the world, I think, the one in Gould.
Yeah, no, I was over in Sri Lanka in 2007. We played at the SSG. And a couple other grounds. I think the grounds we played on were like high school grounds we played on. I'm playing for like a touring high school team. But no, I mean, it's like the castle, like, the castle looking ground. Who are you playing over there for? It was like just a touring invitational kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of. You obviously, as an Australian, you'll be very aware of the Barmy Army.
Oh yeah, Barmy Army. Absolutely. Love the Barmy Army.
I would imagine probably your favorite bunch of people to listen to.
Love the Barmy Army. I'm a legit fan. Like, sarcasm aside, I'm a legit fan of the Barmy Army because I mentioned this in the last podcast. I'm one of the most loudest, obnoxious cricketers there is. Like, I am so loud in the cricket field. And the Australians, we don't have our own Barmy Army. We just have Australian fans, which are, just as loud and obnoxious. But I would love to have an Australian version of the Barmy Army. I love that. So I love that you guys have that, and it makes it entertaining.
Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of Aussie fans in Sri Lanka at the minute, which is nice to see.
Yeah, I saw they put up. I don't know if you saw they put up a big sign like this Shane Warne stand. They kind of made a sign to kind of give a little tip of the hat to Shane Warne. But yeah, no, the Australians get out and travel a lot. I know, pretty sure it's Boone, David Boone. He goes and does the big trip. He gets a lot of Australians to come out to the Windies. They put together tours over there. So they try to fill the seats when they go around the world, the Australians. They're obviously big into their cricket, just like England. And it's going to be very entertaining this year, having England coming to Australia for the Ashes. Will you be attending the Ashes?
Yes. I haven't got any tickets to get there yet or anything like that, but I'm going to be there.
Be there.
Yeah, absolute bucket list, isn't it?
I love that. Yeah, I'll probably won't be getting there, but maybe we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, you'll be going back to my hometown. I haven't gone back to Australia since 2017. Since I left Australia, I haven't been back. Oh, I mean, it's going to be an incredible series. What's your prediction? Do you have a prediction on what's going to transpire this coming summer?
Yeah, I think Australia will probably win because I think they're a better cricket team than England. Certainly in Australia as well.
Out of the gate, right there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. Hey, look, I'm gonna put my cards on the table straight away, and I think that's exactly where it is. I will say though, I'm really excited for this series. I think England could lose this series 5-0, and it would still be incredibly exciting. Because I don't see England losing the first test match and then thinking, the world's against us. I think they kind of dismiss what's happened very quickly, which is really encouraging and really exciting. Whereas I think the previous tour back in 2020, when Rory Burns got bowled around his legs by Mitch Starc first ball, I mean, if that didn't set the tone for the rest of the series and what happened for the remaining 25 days, if they used all of that up, it just felt like that England carried that for the rest of the series. And I don't think that's going to be allowed with this England team. So we could lose 5-0, but it's going to be a really exciting way to lose 5-0. I don't think we will lose 5-0, but I think Australia are just better equipped at the minute with what we've got. We've got a tough year, though. We got 5 tests against India. Then we go to Australia. I mean, hey, it's a baptism by fire, isn't it? And if we're in form, if we beat India 5-0, who knows what confidence we can carry through to Australia.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they shape up against India leading into the Ashes. And I mean, it's, Australia, I was just talking yesterday how I was basically criticizing the Australian selectors on dropping Constas and not maybe going with Mick Sweeney. I was hoping maybe they would go with the younger looking side for Sri Lanka, as it was it's a kind of like that's an important test series. It's not really for anything. Australia's going to go on to the World Test Championship. So I thought it would be an opportunity to play the young guys, give them some exposure in case we need them for the Ashes. But no, that's not the case. Australia went out and scored 330 with 2 down, and Khawaja got some runs. Smith got some runs. He made his 10,000th run. Had even made it 50. Up the top of the order there. I think really it was just like playing in Sri Lanka is a little bit different than playing India. I mean, because Bumrah really ran through the Australian top order. Is Bumrah going to run through the England top order? Also, probably. I don't know if you saw this, but the Coldplay are playing in India, and they did a big shout out to Bumrah. I don't know if you saw that.
I've seen clips of it. I saw the first one. Did I see the first one? Might have been in Dubai or something, and Jasper had said to Coldplay that they couldn't use video clips or something like that. And
yeah. So I'm not sure where exactly it was in the world, but the clip I saw was Bumrah's in the stadium. Coldplay's making videos explaining it how he gets at all the English players, and then the following concert he came out and said, "Yeah, Bumrah sent us an email being like, yeah, you can't do that," even though he was smiling the whole time in the first video. But I think it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I am hesitant on the Australian batting lineup, but I think it is contingent on the bowling that they're facing. So I think maybe the spin's a little easier over there in Sri Lanka. But if England come to Australia and bowl close to what India were bowling, I think Australia are in trouble, because England have some of the best batters, like Root and one of the best batters of all time. I think you made a video, is he going to eclipse Tendulkar? It's a reality, and I think some people are saying, oh, he's probably not the best because he hasn't scored a lot of runs in Australia, whereas this is like time to kind of do that. And I feel like it's one of those things that if he does get on a roll, put a lot of pressure on Australia. And I think that's what's going to make a really exciting test series.
Yeah, it's really interesting with Joe Root and the form in Australia. And I think the comments by Darren Lehman probably kind of highlight or brought that to the fore, didn't it, a little bit? And whether it was a bit of pantomime to kind of start that kind of ball rolling with regards to the Ashes, and be like, oh yeah, well, he's great, but I don't really look at him that way because he's not scored 100 in Australia. There's a lot of people that haven't done very well in various different places around the world. I think Kohli averages about 30 in the UK. There was another one, Shane Warne averages 40 with the ball in India. There are places around the world where people struggle. And I think that's what makes Test cricket so incredible. It's because we have all these different conditions that you have to go and master. I'm sure Joe Root wants 100 in Australia. And I'm sure if you gave him the opportunity to go and score 100 in every innings in 5 of these test matches, he'd bite your hand off for it and take 10. For me, I don't think it detracts anything away from him being one of the greatest batters to ever play the game if he doesn't score 100 in Australia. But I think that's probably because I'm English. I think for those that aren't English, it feels like that is the measuring stick. And if he can score that 100 in Australia, I don't think anybody's got an argument there to turn around and say that Joe Root's not one of the greatest batters to ever play the game. I think if he doesn't, I think it's an easy thing just to throw back and just go, nah, he might have gone past Tendulkar, but he's not the greatest because he never scored 100 in Australia.
Yeah, I think you're right there. The measuring stick in cricket is basically backed on to Australia. What you do in Australia or how you compare to Australian cricketers, it's kind of like, I guess, the ultimate, how well you went. But he has enough runs to be up there and always be in the mix for like top 5 of all time if he finishes his career up there with Ponting and Tendulkar. So I'm excited to see your coverage when you're down there. That's gonna be really cool. And one of those big things I did try to do this year was kind of expose America to the Ashes, but the Boxing Day test and how big of a tournament that 5-day summer series in Australia is, because it rivals Super Bowl and it rivals these bigger like World Cups and things like this, because that's all Australians do is Boxing Day is like the pinnacle. Walking out of the MCG is this really big deal. And now we had such an exciting MCG test this year, or I guess last year, with the Constance coming out, hitting those ramps. And it was very bizarre because it was Christmas Day here in the States. I've got the laptop out. I'm watching the football, like the American football on TV. I got the Boxing Day test on the laptop. And then he goes and hits. It was just the first attempt at the ramp. And I'm like, oh my God, he went for a ramp. And everyone's like, what's happening? What are you doing? What are you yelling? I'm like, he went for a ramp. They're like, what does that even mean? Like, what do you, and I'm like, you don't understand what this kid is doing. Like, he's 19, he's facing the best pitcher bowler in the world. And he like went for a shot that you would never see in a test match, especially like first couple of overs. And then he actually hits it for the 4. Then he gets the 6 and he gets another 4. I was losing it. I was like absolutely losing it. And no one had any idea what's going on.
It was great as a neutral. It was incredible as a neutral. Yeah. I'm not going to feel the way in 12 months' time if he's doing it to Gus Atkinson and Brian McCarthy.
Yeah. But it's one of those things. Now, I know you came over here, you spent some time in the States. Was it during the World Cup, the T20 World Cup you were here? Or was it
No, it
after,
was
before?
yeah. So it was just before. It
Just before.
was April time. So I came over to New York, New Jersey to film. I'm sure a lot of your viewers, and I'm sure yourself have probably heard of them, but John Boy Media.
Yes.
A lot of their kind of their warehouse games essentially. And one of them that they've created, this ball in play league, is their kind of baseball / cricket hybrid model. It's a sport that Jimmy himself, I think, has a massive interest in. A lot of the other guys that are part of it, I think, are kind of figuring it out slowly, but I don't think they're as passionate about the sport as he himself. So he's created this game to try and kind of, similar to what you're doing with yours, try and engage American audiences into this sport. And I think the nature of ball in play, and I don't understand baseball. I'd love to go one day, but I don't understand it. But I think by the nature of ball in play, listening to Jimmy, was that actually a lot of the time when you play baseball is that you can't do anything. The ball is I suppose, for want of a better word, dead. Whereas in this ball in play league, you are running between wickets or bases, whatever you want to call it, back and forth with a batting partner. It wasn't really designed for those of us there that were cricketers, I don't think. It was still kind of the ball's on the full with the rounded bat. And so the odds were stacked against us. I think if the ball started pitching and to kind of nibbling about a little bit, I think we might have done a bit better. But it was a struggle, but it was really, really good fun.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. No, I have obviously well aware of John Boy and everything he's doing over here. He's probably the one that's really been firstly educating the Americans on the cricket with the highlights. And, I first came about him kind of after I started posting, because I hadn't posted anything about cricket. I hadn't even picked up a bat since moving to America. Didn't even know America had a cricket team. I hadn't even thought about it. And it was one Tuesday, I pick up the phone. Pakistan gets beaten by USA. Huge upset. I'm like, my whole phone was this. And I was like, I got to make a video about this. So I just put the phone out, made a makeshift tripod by the window, went to the whiteboard, did one take. This is how cricket is. And it was overnight. There was just thousands of views. So I sat there for the next 2 days doing it all out. And a lot of people were commenting, oh, it's just like John Boy. It's just like John Boy. So then I fell onto John Boy and it was great. He was on, they got him on the Yes Network. They streamed a couple of New York games on free to air TV. Well, I guess on the cable, but everyone has cable over here. Yeah. He was doing explanations. He did the commentary. And it's great. He was great to get the baseball crossover, which is where I was like, oh, I know baseball, I also know cricket, not as much. I don't know baseball as much baseball as cricket, but I know the baseball. And yeah, trying to do those comparisons for them. And it's just like one of those things where if Americans got it, if they understood cricket, they would love it, because it's so much happening. It's like I said, it's continuous. Everything's always happening. Where baseball, you watch a baseball game, it can be very, I don't want to say boring, but a lot of things aren't always happening. You might only get 1 or 2 home runs a game. And inside of those 200 pitches that you get pitched, in the game, that's not a lot of runs being scored out of 200 pitches. Whereas in cricket, you're going to get a total, like at least, 300 to 400 runs get scored in a 2020. Where were you? Did you watch that game, the Pakistan USA game? Were you following the World Cup? What were your thoughts when that happened?
Yeah, I was actually in the hospitality at Lord's that day with my dad. I was invited into the MCC President's Suite at Lord's. So, which again sounds ridiculous, another bit of imposter syndrome. But yeah, sat there watching, I think it was the T20 Blast was going on in the middle of summer. And this game was going on the TVs in the back of the box. And kind of all of a sudden, everybody started disappearing from the seats outside. And it kind of went, well, what's going on here? And you kind of go, well, I think the USA are going to beat Pakistan. And you kind of go, nah, they're not going to do that. So I left it for another 5 minutes and kind of turned around again. And I went, I think they might actually do this, So yeah, then ended up walking in, standing in the back of this box, watching it on the TV, kind of in absolute amazement at the fact that this was happening. Firstly, it was really cool because it was Aaron Jones that was kind of taking the sword to Pakistan, and he played in that ball in play league that I played in New Jersey earlier in the year. So that was pretty cool to kind of see him on the world stage doing that. And yeah, I would love cricket to crack America, or America to crack cricket, whichever way that kind of worked. Because I completely agree with you. I think the sport has got so much to offer. And I think in comparison to its nearest kind of relative, baseball, to an uneducated person like myself, as you've just said, I think there is so much more going on. There's so much more potential for excitement in cricket, potentially the T20 cricket. I don't think 5-day cricket's ever going to kind of be a market for the US, but for T20 cricket, just get it. Just go and watch it.
Absolutely. Because it's one of those things where the pool for the baseball, it's everything from the high school level to the college level, all goes, AAA, all goes towards the major leagues. And you consider how many people don't make those sides. You could take any of the AAA players, teach them a little cricket, and they have the mechanics of being able to hit hit big. That's the whole point of, baseball is hitting really big. And obviously the throwing is like cricketers take baseball coaches to teach them how to throw. Baseball's the technique through throwing is incredible, and all international teams take baseball coaches to help them with their fielding. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like if once they figure it out, once they get behind it, it is I don't like saying a more exciting version of cricket, of baseball, but it's something's always happening. It's very, very entertaining, because like crossing over, like I see you've got the Kansas City shirt on, crossing over a little bit of football. A similar thing with a football, like football, if you've ever been to went to my first football game this year. Did you get to a football game when you were out here?
Yeah, it was a few years ago, but I went to see the Titans versus the Bengals, I think, quite a while ago.
Yeah.
It was good.
And the biggest thing I picked up from watching the NFL in real life is like 4 or 5 hours go by, you're there, but the time actually is that's the competitive play is not that long.
Yeah.
Like it's just 4 15-minute segments, but you're there for 4.5 hours because it's just like you do the 5 seconds of play, you're stopping for 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And then you have 5 more seconds of play, stopping for 45 seconds. And that just kind of rolls on. And it's kind of like the way that Americans do sport is that they have these big gaps in between the plays, and it's like part of the experience. You do the tailgate, you go into the game, you watch the play, then you turn around, you're chatting. Whereas in more like the rugby league style of sport and the cricket, T20, like you can't really take your eye off the game because something's, it's just on. I think they would be into it. Maybe I don't know if that's too quick for them, if it goes too quick, but I think in their head they think about most people when you ask them about cricket here, they say, "Oh, is that the 5-day game with the paddle and the bat and the thing?" It's like, yeah, that does happen. And they're like, how can you do 5 days of cricket? I'm like, well, you watch football for 5 days. You watch the Thursday night game, you watch the Friday night high school, you watch Saturday college, and then you have Sunday, Monday football. We just watch it. It's just part of how we grew up. I think it's the nostalgia for us.
I think it'll work. I'm curious though. What's the kind of the noise been about cricket since that World Cup? Is there still kind of coverage and murmurings of it, or has it kind of died off? And are we just waiting now for LA 28 for cricket to kind of make itself to the Olympics?
Yeah. So in regards to like sports media and sports news here, it's not covered at all. It's not actually like not even a thing. It's never going to be on ESPN, never going to be on the Fox Sports. It's not covered at all. So like, for example, USA is going to play a game in 9 days. No team list has been coming out. No media coverage has been bringing about it. Like they don't talk about it. But in saying that, the MLC T20 League is coming into its 3rd season this year. That's when it's going to be kind of like ramped up a little more. So that's going to be over our summer. So like June, July, maybe into a little bit of August, they'll play that. I think that's when it'll kind of like kick off more and get a little bit more media for it. I'm going to be doing as much as I can to be, getting the viewers into watching that. And all of the teams have basically bought into, they're going to be building stadiums. So all the 6 teams will have stadiums. Right now, there's only really 2 main stadiums, the one in North Carolina and then one in Texas. So San Francisco, Seattle, they're going to be putting up stadiums. And then they're looking into add 2 more teams, a Canadian team or a Chicago, Atlanta team. It is expanding, and I think a lot of money is coming here. The talent pool here is insane. For a lot of people, the noise around that win was like, oh, it's a bunch of 9-to-5 guys that never played cricket before, ended up being Pakistan. But a lot of the team had played under 19s in India, and, I believe they have one of the best spinners in the world right now, Harmeet Singh. I made a video recently. His economy rate across all the leagues is, better than Rashid Khan currently. And he was a pivotal role in their wins against Pakistan and bowling in the World Cup. And, Netra Volker, also amazing fast bowler, and then Andreas Gauss atop of the order, Aaron Jones. Like these guys are elite athletes, great players, and I think it's just we're going to be moving to this world again. It's going to be one of these other things where we're going to get all the way to 28, and USA should do well. And it's going to be another big drive to, okay, cricket's a real sport here in America. We have a real team. Yeah, that's kind of the goal. I think you're right. It's going to probably end over there. So slow, but we're going to get there.
Yeah, I'm on board. I'm
Yeah.
on board. I'm cheerleading for you guys.
Yeah, and it was a recent announcement yesterday that Pakistan does look like they are going to come over here for like a little tri series with
That's cool.
USA and Canada, which would be great. And I'm all for like the nations coming here because it's kind of a central hub for everyone. Technically, like it's a long flight for England to Australia, but I'd love to see like a few nations come and have host games here, because it's I think a lot of cricketers would love to come to America because it's one of those spots everyone wants to come to see, from a travel perspective, tourism perspective. Because if you're playing cricket, you're not ever going to come here to play.
I think certainly if those stadiums get built in the right place as well. I think the whole kind of headline writing of the fact that cricket was played in New York, like, yes, I know it wasn't New York, but it was New York. And I think that made everything feel a bit more clickable, didn't it? And more relatable to everybody. Everybody knows where New York is.
Yeah.
But if somebody said, oh, England are playing the USA in an ODI in Morrisville, they're going to go, what?
Yes.
Right. Okay. We'll figure it out. But New York is New York. And I think you're right. I think if it's never going to be on Manhattan, but if you can kind of figure something out there and have ODI and T20 cricket played in New York, I think it's a huge draw. And the amount of kind of expatriates that there are living in the US from Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, the Caribbean and stuff, maybe less so from the UK and Australia, but there must be a huge market for those teams and to take their players and kind of engage this fandom.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think it is. They're that South Asian base here is very big, and that is the majority, of the cricketers that are playing, cricketers that are following. It is kind of rare to have a Aussie or English expat come in to do something. But yeah, I think that's also kind of it's been one of those disappointing things. I think that's what they're targeting. Like a lot of USA cricket is like targeting more into that fan base, where I'd like to see them target more into the American cricket, the American sports fan. I feel like that's the big gateway. If you can get the American sports fan to kind of like get invested in it, that's where kind of I believe like most of the money and most of the eyeballs is the American cricket fan, because the American sports fan, because they are obsessed with their baseball. They're going to do fantasy baseball. They're going to do fantasy football. I love to see them get also into the cricket. So
do it.
That's the goal.
To get on with it.
Yeah, that's the goal. So, let's go back to the ball in play. So you played the ball in play.
Yeah.
How was that? Explain kind of like how that works and how did you go doing it? Did you win? How does the tournament work over there?
How does the tournament work over there? I'm still not sure. It was quite bonkers. It was quite a
Who'd you get paired up with? How the team work? You got paired up with someone else?
I played on a team I played on the We Got Ice team. Okay. With Jack Doyle and Zoe D'Amalia, who I like two of the more popular players in the game. Myself and one of the MLC pros, we just couldn't really make it work. It was tough. I think the first game I got run out without facing, backing off at the non-striker's end.
Diamond.
Again, I think that was a cricket translation that was lost on me a little bit. It was a kind of a case of probably shouldn't be doing this, but there we go. We learned. And yeah, I think we probably finished rock bottom after 4 days. So, but yeah, with the jet lag, with the temperature, it was a bizarre experience. It was so cool, such a cool experience, and so grateful for the opportunity to go. I'm all lined up to go again this year, which is really exciting. Hopefully, now I understand it a bit better, I might fare a bit better. And if I'm on the We Got Ice team again, if they haven't ditched me, maybe I'll contribute a bit more to the team this time around.
Awesome. Well, New Jersey isn't far from Connecticut, so we'll have to connect when you come over. I'm not going to go all that way without connecting. So
absolutely,
I'm close by. So Kansas City shirt on. Are you following the NFL? Are you prepped or excited for the Super Bowl?
I love the sport. I really do. I play fantasy. I've got a couple of fantasy leagues that I'm in. And that's been a massive help to try and understand and learn who some of the players are. But I'm actually quite disappointed about the Super Bowl, to be completely honest with you. Yes, okay. I know I'm sat here in a Kansas City shirt, but I just quite like it. And I quite like Patrick Mahomes. I think the fact that those two teams have been in it a couple of times over the last couple of years, they're probably the two best teams in the league, from what I understand anyway. But from a pretty neutral perspective, I think it would have been quite nice to have seen some new faces, I think, competing for it. Kind of agree. The fact that Mahomes seems to get a bit of preferential treatment as well, which seems to wind people up a little bit. But I'm trying to understand it. It's the American sport that I feel like I have the best kind of grasp of.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm a big fan of the sport. I'm also a big rugby fan. So coming over here, watching the NFL was very fun. My first game, I remember watching my first Super Bowl back in Australia. It was the catch. It was the New York Giants. I believe like one of the early 2000 games, the famous helmet catch where he caught the catches on his head. And then Yeah, I didn't have much exposure to the NFL, only through the TV show How I Met Your Mother. I don't know if you ever saw that, but
I
he
did.
was a big fan of the Vikings. So like you learned about the Vikings a little
Yeah.
bit through that. So become a Bills fan, gloss just on the weekend.
Oh, so this is a real kind of personal dig to wear this jersey
Yeah,
today then.
so yeah, I
I
mean,
apologize. I apologize. If you'd have let me know, I wouldn't have bothered. I would have just kept the jumper on that I've been wearing all day.
no, it's fine. I feel like it's so bizarre how they run the tournament here. Like having the four different sections of and then two different conferences, and then having to be top of your top four, and then going through to the finals, whatever. It does kind of like bottleneck certain teams,
Yeah.
and it does look like there's really hard for anyone to really beat Kansas City out of the AFC. The Bills have lost, which is 5 years in a row in that tournament, sit through there, whether they lost to the Ravens or lost to Kansas City. So on the other side of the coin, Eagles have been there a couple times over the past few years. Yeah. I think obviously Saquon Barkley this year has been incredible for the Eagles. He was on the Giants, which is in the same division, and wasn't doing much over there, and then switched teams and is now going to probably break the all-time record for runs in a season, which is going to be crazy. I'm excited to watch that. I mean, that's nuts the way he runs. Do you follow the rugby or Super League, rugby league in the UK?
Not for a while. I used to. It used to be a big thing when I used to live at home with my parents. Used to be a big thing on the Friday nights, and yeah, we would have sat down and watched it with dad and my brother. Big kind of Wigan family. Obviously, coming from the very south coast of England, we didn't really have a local team. So, but yeah, those guys are ridiculously athletic. It was kind of the era of obviously when Rob Burrow was still playing for Leeds Rhinos. Obviously now sadly kind of passed away, but it was of that kind of era of rugby league that I was watching, and just the physicality of that sport. It felt painful sat on the couch or the sofa watching it on the TV.
Yeah, I mean, that's my number one, like, watched sport. Like, I loved football. I'm obsessed with rugby league. That's like my Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs and my home team. That's one of the things I want to bring to America also. Like, part of me doing the cricket thing was just like wanting other people to talk to about cricket, because no one here I could talk to about cricket or play. And similarly with rugby league, I think it's one of the greatest sports there is. And I think American sports fans would love it. It's just big guys, fast guys running at each other for 80 minutes, big hits. It's everything you love about the NFL without the breaks, really. There's just no break. It's
Or
just,
the padding.
yeah, all the padding, all the helmets. It's just go, go, go. And you get to the kicks and the catching off the kicks and things like that. So I think they would get involved with that as well. So that's going to be something I'm going to be talking about a lot more, is trying to get exposure to that coming out of NFL season. It's going to roll into the Australian Rugby League season. I'd love Americans to get involved with that. And I know they tried to do a couple of show games over here. I know Russell Crowe bought one of the teams, so he's involved with the City Rabbitohs. But yeah, no, that's one of another sports I want to get over here and teach the Americans, because I'd love them to be playing my home sports.
Yeah, for sure. I would imagine like there must be such a huge challenge to try and not take fans away from existing sports, but existing sports have got such a stronghold on the market anyway. And much like all the other sports, there's so much of it now. It doesn't feel like there's a day goes by. As you said, you can watch football 5 days a week, which gives you 2 days off to recover before you go again. To try and convince people then that you go, oh yeah, well, how about watching another sport on top of it? A lot of people just aren't going to have the kind of the bandwidth, I guess, to take that on, which is a shame. Great for the sports that already exist, but yeah, maybe that's where the big kind of problem lies, I think.
Yeah, because getting into baseball is difficult because they play 160 games a year. So it's this like big, whole thing. It's like, I don't know how they follow, they talk about, it's hard to follow 5 days of cricket. Well, you're going to do 160-ish games. If you're taking the NFL or the rugby that they're playing, they're 16 or so, maybe, and then maybe 20 total weeks of investment, we add the playoffs and everything in there. So isn't it a bigger investment? But no, baseball, you're in there for the whole 160-ish, it's like 3/4 of the year.
Yeah, no chance. No,
Yeah,
if you
chance.
can follow 160 games of baseball, you can follow 5 days of cricket. Fact.
Absolutely. Yeah, and across all the leagues, considering there's many different leagues across the world now. You got the BBL. I don't know if you caught the final over there. Big Hurricanes. Good shut up to the Hurricanes. They did a great job over there. You would think that 185 or 183 was a good total from the Thunder. No, it wasn't even close. They needed to post about 250 to
yeah, they got smoked. I I don't think many people saw that innings from Mitch Owen in the final coming. He batted really nicely through the tournament, and I think obviously just went out there with that kind of effort mentality and just went, well, if it's going to work, it's going to work, it's going to be great, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And fair play to him for sticking what he believes in, and what an innings it was. And they still had like 6 overs left, didn't they, to chase that down?
Yeah, no, there was 14 overs and something, and had been bowled, and wasn't even close to being a big enough total, and he just clicked. So he clicked, put it into gear. I don't know if you've seen the photo, but he was like in the stands as a kid, and then now he's out there playing in his home. And I think it was amazing. That was his home ground, home first final, first win for them. Gets the 100, record tying or equaling, 100.
Almost poetic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And whoever was working for ESPN Cricket Info have been sat on that photo for the last 3 years waiting for this moment to happen and just gone, I knew it was worth the research.
Yeah. I hope you guys can hear that banging. That banging is little Sophie. She's having fun down there, banging away. Hashtag living that dad life. Living that dad life. So apart from the 100 and going to the Ashes, what other goals? Do you have any other goals for 2025 out here?
It's going to be a busy year again. I think that's a blessing and a curse with being self-employed in this world, is you just have to try and fill your calendar up as much as possible, and probably similar to the US summer, depending on where you are. The UK summer, you get about 4 months of it, and then it rains for the rest of the year. So you have to cram as much in as you can. I'll be commentating again for Northamptonshire County Cricket Club, which is amazing. It's another thing that I never, ever thought I would end up doing. So that'll be on the County Championship, the T20 Blast, and the One Day Cup. So excited for that. That'll be really good. Kind of feel like I'm finding my feet in that now. This will be my 3rd year of it. And the first year was very much a case of, I don't know what I'm doing, but we're figuring it out. 2nd year was good. And the 3rd year, I feel really excited about it. So that's great. I'm having some really interesting conversations with a couple of leagues as well around the world for this year, which I'm not going to say anything more than that yet, because it's not a case of I don't want to kind of give you the information. It's more of a case of until there's something in place, then I'll kind of keep it under wraps, I think, at the minute. But there's a really good chance there's some really exciting things happening, not just in the UK. Be looking out for other commentary opportunities as well. So other counties, other boards, things like that. And then once that's done, it'll be pretty much October, and I'll be thinking about Australia. So it's going to be a bit of a whirlwind this year. Got some new content ideas to film with people and guests and players and stuff over the course of the summer too, which I'm excited to get going for. And just continually develop the channel and the content and my career. And I mean, who knows what we're going to be looking at in 2026.
That's awesome, man. It's so great that you're like doing the commentating bit. That's amazing. That's probably the goal over here, to be on that 2028 LA USA commentary. Try to do that. That would be amazing from my perspective. Help these Americans, get involved with the cricket and have like an American style voice, and it's a half American style voice. It's quite interesting. A lot of people do think this straight out that I'm American, because the accent is kind of blended away a little bit. That's amazing. I'm like looking forward to, if you do get out here or be able to listen to you on one of the leagues across the world, be definitely tuning.
You never know. Well, it might be one of my clips that pops up that you do some analysis on.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Who would be someone that you would love to like have a face against or do a video with that's currently around the world? You have like a person you're itching to like make a video with, international player?
If it was just pure numbers, it'd just be Virat, wouldn't it? Virat.
Yeah.
If you could have an hour with Virat Kohli, imagine what you could achieve with that as an opportunity. I did walk past him at Lord's once. It was a very strange experience.
Oh yeah.
It was off season. I was walking in to film some content with the MCC, and walking in towards the indoor school, and a guy walks out with a big rucksack on, obviously his cricket kit. And from a distance, I went, blimey, I really recognize that guy. But didn't really think anything of it because India weren't in England. I think this was before the Australia series. So I didn't think anything of it. Got closer and I went, I definitely recognize that bloke. And then got closer and I went, it definitely can't be him, can it? Until we were about kind of here in passing. And I was like, no, that's actually, by which point I kind of carried on walking through the door and he'd already cleared off. And it was one of the most surreal experiences I think I've had in this world of cricket, which is quite mad. But yeah, he would be great. My big thing, to be honest with you, is if the big name isn't interested in doing it, I don't want to do it because it comes across on camera that it's kind of being forced, or it's kind of not really what they're after. If somebody of a lesser name or whatever is dead keen to get involved, sign me up for that, because it just comes across so much better on camera. And I think some of the content pieces that I made with Josh and Jaden in Trinidad were exactly that. Both of them wanted to get involved and wanted to get stuck in, and that kind of enthusiasm just came across on camera, which you can't buy that. That's incredible.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a point. Like when I watched the thing, like it, you could tell that from the video. Like they're definitely invested. Like you had a lot of fun together. I really enjoyed like the little the catching drill you guys are doing, like things like that with the cone there. Awesome, mate. It's been great having you on here. Did you have any burning questions for me before we wrap up? Anything you need to know about AB? Anything you wanted to know? Anything?
Well, I mean, what I'd like to know, and I know obviously you mentioned about YouTube, and obviously this. Well, first of all, obviously TikTok's back now, isn't it, in the United States? I do genuinely think that was the biggest bit of marketing ever in the world by TikTok. I can't see that being any other thing anymore, because the fuss and the stink that all you Americans made about losing TikTok for what felt like 6 months. And you lost it for about 2 hours and it was back again. And surely that was the biggest marketing ploy by TikTok, the greatest bit of marketing ever to happen. But I want to know what happens next on YouTube for you. I want to know what that content looks like. Is it the podcast? Are we going to see you playing cricket? Are we going to see the 6 that you're going to hit in 2025? Is it going to be documented?
Yes. So the goal here, the TikTok ban was just a bizarre week. I mean, like we knew it was coming, but then that day was just like, oh, this is the end. And then it's still really technically it's still up in the air. There's like a 90-day pause, and then we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, that really kind of like kicked my gears into like, I got to expand the market into other platforms. I am working on basically having my own like hub where I kind of like own my own content, like I own my own app or website where everything's up there organically. So if I do lose everything, then it can be like my own website kind of thing, so they can get all the videos. But yes, the YouTube channel, the podcast, this will be coming out as basically like a series. Or a season, sorry. It'll be like a season of episodes for the podcast. The podcast, we'll call this season 1. And then that's going to drop hopefully by the end of February. And then with that, there would be like the website inside. We're going to have a membership. So members would get access to the full videos right away. YouTube's going to have them dropped, every 3 or 4 days. We'll put out a new episode. And then, we bought a GoPro mount to have the GoPro. So we're going to be doing the content with on the head.
Love it.
Covering my games matches here. I am part of a team here, so I don't know exactly if we're going to be doing the 40 over stuff or the 20. I'll definitely be in the 2020, competing in the 2020, because the 40 overs is a big investment in the day, especially having my daughter and bouncing of schedules. But there also is an opportunity to go to New York. The New York League houses some of the international players. So whether I'm ever competing in that league, with like a Connecticut side, or if I just go there to create the content with those players, do the commentary there. I was able to do a commentary stint for one of the games last year. They have like a Ninja Cast, and I hooked up to the streaming live to their YouTube channel, and everyone loved it because normally they just have it running without audio. It's audio less, so you just hear the audio from the game. But I think, that's going to be great. And then also looking into the coaching side, that's going to be the other thing, is like trying to be the coach, because the level of cricket here, especially on the club level, definitely can use a boost. So some of the players are newer to cricket, coming from like nations like Nepal over here, expats from the Windies, expats from Pakistan, India. And a lot of them are just swing and hit cricketers, and it would be nice to have as much guidance as I can give these guys to bat a little better, bowl a little better. I really enjoy the analysis and dialing in on cricket. I think hopefully my career ends that way. Like I would like to get into the commentary because of the analyst, because the one thing that is different from just an American talking about cricket is they don't know that maybe the technique or why this is happening, or noticing about it doing something, and having that ability to tell them is what excites me. Be like, oh, you noticed in this one he did this, and that was because it was because of this, and so
it sounds very reminiscent of when I started playing cricket as an adult. it was, and you go through stages, and there was the video I made with Phil, which I mentioned earlier, and you have that kind of period of conscious ability and unconscious ability, and then you kind of figure out where you are. So completely resonate with it. I don't know how it would work, but I mean, I'd love to come and play a game of amateur cricket in the United States. I think that would be so cool. So I don't know how likely that is to happen, but that would be the coolest balls. That
we'll get you out, man. If you come to New Jersey, we'll get you a game for sure. Hands down, we'll get you out here.
April might be a bit early though.
We'll have some games. We'll have some games. We might have some
Seriously?
games there. Yeah, we might have some games there. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll make it happen. So, guys, that is the episode with Dan. Let them know where they can find you. Drop the name of the YouTube.
Yeah, just search anywhere, any platform at DanJadz. You'll find me somewhere along there. So YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you want to find, it's all under the same name.
Perfect. Guys, that was things will be below. And that is a wrap. We'll see you in the next one.